evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday night version of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morgan, off the Motor City Madmouth. Have a full house today, and a really good house, I should say. I want to welcome back JB Ellis to the broadcast. I know last week was a little down under the weather. We're glad he's feeling good enough to be able to come and join us tonight. Glad to have you back, JB.
My pleasure. Always good to be here.
Oh, it was great to have you. All right, George Eichhorn, my favorite whipping boy. Glad to have you back. I'm waiting for you to say something that caused me to say, really? Seriously, really?
Really? I know. You're waiting. Good to be back.
Yeah, always waiting on you, Eichhorn. Anyway, Jacob Christopher's going to have one topic all to himself, and he knows which one it is.
Very nice. And we have three more squares. We get Ann B. Davis as a guest.
There you go. I can't wait to hear his comments on number 3. Oh, my goodness. That headsman who got the Mo job on top of his head. Would he get a John Deere to take off half of that mountain called hair?
No, but thanks for having me, Scott. It's good to be here.
Okay. Yeah, well, they didn't need a John Deere for mine. All they had was a good clip. I usually get mine clipped really good where there's no lot, and I get to wait 6, 8, 9 weeks, and then it gets back down there. I'd have enough hair to give Candy a fur coat if I kept growing it out, but I've seen people a lot where she deserves a fur coat, but he won't use it in Florida. All right, Candy. Speaking of Candy, welcome back.
Thanks, Scott. It's great to be here.
All right, well, we're going to start the show off with 2 heavyweights, and that being Geno Auriemma and John Wooden. On Sunday, after Connecticut routed South Carolina 82-59. After the game, I asked Coach Auriemma what it was like to win his 12th title 50 years after John Wooden won his 10th in 1975, and asked him how it felt to be mentioned with the Wizard of Westwood. Take it away, Candy.
Okay, let me share this. Here we go.
Geno, I want to ask you a question. I know 50 years ago, John Wooden won his 10th national championship. So I'm trying to bring you back to the fountain of youth here a little bit. 50 years later, you won your 12th national championship. So, and I know you're smiling, and I love it when we talk old school basketball. So here's my question for you. Number one, how do you like being mentioned in the same breath with John Wooden, since you guys are both such iconic coaches and you've done it so well and produced so many championships that not only did you produce national championships, but you also produce a lot of pro players?
Those two things go together. If you don't produce pro players, you don't win national championships. That's an easy one. The thing, comparing me to John Wooden, it's apples and oranges. Things were different back then. The NCAA tournament was way different back then. The game of men's basketball was way different than the game of women's. The thing we have in common is we spent a lot of time at one school, and we were fortunate enough to coach the most iconic players that ever played. And we both like to play golf.
So there you have it. I know, Jacob, you were commenting on it earlier in the week, but I felt that I had the opportunity in person to do it.
Yeah.
And it was neat because anytime you have an opportunity to talk about 2 icons, and next week we're going to play a clip of what I asked them about winning a championship in many different decades. But I wanted to make sure we got the Wooden reference out because it was 50 years ago that he had pulled it off. So, Jacob, what are your thoughts about what Coach Auriemma was saying?
Because on my end, it got it muffled on that. Just you don't have to replay it, but tell me exactly what he said. It muffled on mine.
He talks about how comparing apples to oranges because the women's game and the men's game are different. The NCAA tournament has, changed and evolved a lot. But the couple things that are the same is that they have both been at the same school for a long period of time. They've both had developed iconic players, but you win championships with good players, and that they both like golf.
Well, yeah, true. No, the thing about it is that that was my argument I brought up with everybody. It's like people do not like when I say men and women are different bodies, different everything,
Right.
Different muscle, different body structure, the skeletal structure, everything. And it's like the truth being, this is not against Geno Auriemma nor the women that he coaches because he is an all-time great women's coach. I'm still never going to put him past Pat Summitt for obvious reasons. She built a sport, not to mention it. She built the NCAA women's. So I don't care how many championships he wins, he did not do that. But the thing I'm saying with something like this is Geno can put the most perfect plays whatsoever. For Paige Beckers, for any of those, for all of the Tarasis, for all of the ones that he's had in the past. You got a 6'10", 270-pound guy. You get a Zion Williamson in there, it's over. No matter what he does. I mean, you get Russell Westbrook, you get those. They're just Russell Westbrook is like, was he 5'10", 11? His shoulders are that much broader compared to theirs. And it's like no matter what Geno does, he's going to get killed if it's facing the men. But that doesn't matter on the case. So I don't want to see a comparison to Wooden other than what he said. So I appreciate that he said that. Because Wooden, yeah, he maybe Wooden won in a 32-team playoff with the thing, but he had to beat some of the very best teams himself. The men's war in the men's side, he won his conferences every single year. He had to do his thing. Plus the fact he graduated everybody. So that's the one difference that Geno does too. It's graduating everyone. Those are the things that are in common. But the men's game and the women's game, we can't be doing this comparison. People want this because they want the men and the women as the same. And they're not. No matter how much people want to cry about it, they're not.
Yes, we can. I said we can because I'm talking about 22 championships. But no, I see your point. We can do whatever we want on this show. This isn't FCC regulated. Really?
Yeah, right.
Seriously? Really? No, iconic coaches, but I see your point with Pat. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
we'll
love both of them. I'm just saying,
I'm kidding with you, Chris.
Yeah.
Wait till you see what I throw at you next week. You only got the
nice.
Auriemma one. I got another good one I'm going to throw out there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, JV, listen to your thoughts about Geno.
Listen, by far one of the best coaches in women's basketball history. I have trouble putting him in front of Pat Summitt. Without Pat Summitt, there's no Geno Auriemma. So, it's hard to do, but I think he may be a little bit better at this point. Obviously, she's passed away, but I think career-wise, he's gotten a little bit more accolades. But she was first. If it wasn't for her, there'd be no UConn's women's basketball. We wouldn't even notice. Growing up, I remember seeing Tennessee and Pat Summitt on the sideline. To compare him to Coach Wooden, two different sports, men's and women's basketball, different game. Both great leaders, both did outstanding things for their teams and their universities. But different sports, it'd be like comparing Bruce to Michael Jordan. Just different.
What about you, George?
Well, I do not understand why we have to do anything as far as comparison goes. I mean, they both stand alone as great coaches. And certainly Geno deserves the accolades he's getting. 71 years old, I think he is. And, those right. Titles that Sue Bird, the great Sue Bird, that's going into the Hall of Fame next fall. She's one of his players. I don't, of course they're different. We know they're different. I mean, the men's game has more popularity. The men's game has more interest by the public, the sporting public. But man, oh man, I'm never going to say no to Geno. That is a great job he did. UConn, what a awesome program. Of course, all the national titles they got. And yeah, there's going to be difference, obviously, between the two, but two great guys, and of course, two great programs, UConn and the men's under Wooden.
All right, Pensman.
I agree with George and JB. You don't have to compare. There's two different coaches. There's two different styles. They're both good at what they're doing. Geno's a good recruiter. He can get any woman in there in the UConn and make them look great and win championships. And there's going to be, if he keeps going the way he's going, he can get a couple more before he retires. So that's that.
Well, he did get a contract extension, although he brought it after the championship game. So,
right.
Andy, close it out.
Okay, so I'm going to agree and disagree. So I'm going to agree with you guys that Pat Summitt really set the bar. I mean, let's face it. In 38 years of coaching of the Tennessee Lady Volunteers, she never missed the NCAA tournament, nor did she ever have a losing season. But Geno holds the record for the most wins right now at 1,250 and the highest winning percentage at .883 among college coaches with a minimum of 10 seasons, any level, men or women's. So in a sense, you can compare a little bit the two of them. They are both iconic and great coaches, John Wooden and Geno. But what Geno has done for as long as he's done it is pretty remarkable. He has 6 undefeated overall seasons, 12 national championships, which is the most in men's college basketball history. And it includes at least one in each of, like Scott said, each of the last 4 decades. I mean, if you think about it, how many people hold their jobs with the current company that they're in for more than 40 years? That says a lot for longevity, especially when we're talking about coaches. Like, look at how many NFL coaches a year or 2 years, much less 40 years. So kudos to Geno.
Well, wait till next Wednesday. I've got another good comment that we're going to talk about his time in the business. I just want to make sure we got the Wooden Auriemma one up initially because of the fact that it was 50 years ago that one won his 10th and the other one won his 12th. But next week I'll have an even better one pertaining to transfer portal and NIL and what he's done. So stay tuned here. Next topic. The SEC just set a new record for the most money earned by a conference in a single NCAA tournament run. March Madness at $77.6 million. That's a lot. Okay, Jacob, you're nodding your head. What are your thoughts?
Well, here's the thing about this. They've got all of that money now, and we know who we can thank for that from last year. But their final game their final game last year had 10.3 million people. This year is 3.3.
Right.
One of the things that they need really to do is, and this is the thing that they made the smartest move on was doing the whole Caitlin versus Angel deal. And then South Carolina was really good. So then you would build that up. But by itself, Paige Beckers is gone. One thing about it is you have a couple of different possibilities on things here. I mean, by itself, you have Juju Watkins, and I'm going to say someone that's very familiar, Audie Crooks. Remember that old good show? By the way, just to let you know, I saw Audie Crooks lost 45 pounds. So she was 255 now. She was 250 now. She's 205.
She's a lady out of Iowa, right?
Yeah, Iowa State.
Iowa State. Yeah, there you go. A long way.
I was proud of her. It's not like she watched this show, but I was proud of her that she's got the idea, that she needed to keep her health going. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Audie Crooks can be the star, and then Juju, but they need to build stars. Caitlin kind of just tripped in, truthfully, because no one had watched women's college basketball before this. Not a huge amount. So she's kind of tripped in. She's really exciting. She shoots men's threes like nothing. And she's got a really good game. She's got an old school game. So there's that. They need to get another rivalry going. They need to get players going. I mean, they can make all this money in the world, but it will not last long. It will not last long if they don't find another thing. Because if only 3.3 million found it this year, then it's going to keep getting less until they get those kind of rivalries going.
What do you think, George? I like the fact that you brought Audie Crooks up. That
was a good point.
Lost 40 points.
It's you said it's the SEC, of course. I mean,
right.
We're talking obviously one of the premier conferences. You look at these records: South Carolina 15-1, Texas 15-1, LSU 12-4. I mean, they got a lot of great programs. Oklahoma, Kentucky, both 11-5. I mean, the conference itself is certainly one of the most envied conferences anywhere. notwithstanding in any sport, but basketball too, especially basketball. I mean, they've really done a really good job to market things. Their teams are, top 20, top 25. So many of them going down to even Ole Miss, Alabama. Those are two other ones I didn't mention. They've got some great programs there, and the women's side and the men's side. I think it's good for basketball. These payoffs, these paydays, and the amount of money that they're dishing out, man, oh man. I mean, but you know what? They work hard at it. They work hard at it. The conference commissioners work hard. Of course, the schools themselves, their coaches work hard at it. So I'm not afraid to hear these numbers. I think it just goes to show you that, as they say, money talks, but a lot of that money is coming back to these teams and colleges so they can do a better job, TV contracts, whatever, and have a better showing for their product. And I mean, those are big numbers, but I think the sky's the limit. Women's sports, women's basketball especially, has so taken off, as we all know.
I say, Brewski, how are you? And by the way, he's complimenting on your haircut too, on your hair, Jacob. So look at that, red stuff. All right, that's okay. Easy to have it to compliment. All right, we'll turn it over to JB.
Yeah, I mean, the SEC is going to have an issue going forward with the NILs. Football's king, men's basketball, and then other money-making sports as it goes down the list. And you look at a school like UConn that doesn't really have much of a football program, and the rest of the Big East, where football is non-existent, they'll have an advantage in NIL money because they don't have to put it for football. That's a huge expense. So, huge money saving and way to boost the basketball program, which is why they're able to compete with these mega conferences like the SEC and the Big 102 up in the Northwest, California, New Jersey, and everywhere else they go nowadays. But I don't know. It's hard to say, but they had a really good year this year. I don't foresee it being a repeat next year.
Hey, Jacob, I need you to do me a favor, please. I want you to update Joshua Dorr about Audie Crooks and the fact that young lady lost 40 pounds, because you made reference to it by show.
Oh, yeah.
If there's anybody that deserves an update on Audie Crooks, it's Joshua Dorr.
Yeah, she lost. Yeah, we had that conversation. I was bringing that up. We had that whole conversation for our final show for a while here. And I was bringing up her weight and where it is for her health. Well, she lost 45 pounds.
Good
and
for her, so.
She's lost 45 pounds, and that the thing is that she had a really good year this year, and I'm glad she did that for the health, and that was all of my argument in the first place. Her health, it's by itself. It's good on her knees, just good on her back, everything. So if I was to bring that up and bring her original weight up, I'm going to bring up the good of it too. You know what I'm saying?
This comment is funny. The bottom. I have to go ahead and put it up, Candy. I can't believe I'm laughing. This show, she hurt the abs.
It says that she combined strength training, cardio, and a balanced diet, and focused on her mental well-being, Jacob, to lose those 45 pounds.
Yeah, I'm sure she was watching this show and heard me. Yeah.
I don't mind a good laugh on this show. I'm gonna keep the one up a little bit longer. If you heard the show, Abs dropped her weight due to the harassment from Christopher. Christopher's classy; he can handle anything, you think. And then Jacob bullied her into weight loss. I don't know about bullied her, but good word, Jacob. It was for the better. And then Jacob, you're a good man. Becoming a trainer to get that weight up. All right, I don't mind lighthearted comments like this, because Jacob got the last laugh when he said it. These two got, and we got these guys actually commenting. Oh, I need some laughs every once in a while. If you see what I have to deal with on Tuesdays inside the pick, then we got a totally different show with the group of characters out there. All right, because have you learned enough to be able to say anything about the SEC, what we've done inside of the everything else?
I think the college basketball is going the right direction. I think that kudos to Florida for winning the championship, which you predicted. And UConn, well, that was no surprise there. I'm just glad that there was Houston's got a good track coming up. Houston's got a good team coming. They they fought Houston. They just fell apart in the end, but they know where to do it. So the NCAA knows what they're doing. Then hopefully they can control the transfer portal and the NIL and control that, and we'll be good.
As far as Audie Crooks is concerned, I'm glad not only did she lose the 45 pounds, she's going to be a better player, but I'm more concerned about the young lady's health and well-being more than anything else. The talent's there. It's just making sure she's able to play and be able to go out there and play to her capabilities. So more power to her. And I'm glad that all this is addressed again. All right, Candy, you have the last word on the SEC unless you have anything else you want to add to the Audie Crooks situation.
So the SEC $70 million payout is the largest ever for a conference in the men's basketball tournament. They distributed each unit in the men's tournament is worth approximately $2 million. So for each win that they earn, they earned 35 units, which translates to the $70 million, after sending a record 14 of its 16 teams to the big dance. Other conferences, the next conference was the Big Ten, came in second with $42 million. The women's tournament, the SEC also earned $3.4 million in the women's tournament, the most of any conference, from 30 units. The NC2A offered prize money for successful tournament teams in the women's tournament for the first time this year. So kudos to them finally getting some payout. Yes, obviously they didn't make nearly what the men do, but they don't draw like the men do or anything like that. And I get that. But I'll be honest with you, going to the women's Final Four, all three of the games were electric. I would say, they were loud. And even though the games weren't as good as the men's side this year, they were more one-sided, but that was great. It was good crowds.
Oh, they should have been for you. What are you talking about? Really? Seriously, really? You were on the floor. You were in the second row for the first two games and then the third on the floor. If they weren't electric, Candy, really? Seriously, really? I don't know what electricity is. Maybe who invented electricity?
Well,
I don't remember.
Let me say this. I don't know if the third one was electric. That's more of a brownout. That was a pretty
much
beating.
This woman got to sit on the floor. I had to find a way to get myself a seat for the second game, but I managed to find a way, all right. And I sat all the way up in nosebleed. This girl's sitting on the floor taking pictures at point blank range. And it's got to be electric for you to be over there, Candy. Really? Seriously, really?
Yes, really, really, Scott. I'm talking about the crowds.
I know, but the fact you're in the middle of it.
Okay.
Come on, you're right on the floor. You can see the whole darn arena better than anybody else.
Yeah, but how's your back doing?
They treated you. Candy got red carpet treatment.
All right.
Don't I deserve red carpet treatment?
And you got it. All right. With that said, this is a part of the show where Jacob gets to have his own segment off to his pundit liking. And we're going north of the border to give them this one. Canadian Airlines are cutting thousands of seats on flights to U.S. anticipating cutting flights to U.S. vacation spots due to a sharp drop in travel with summer trips down over 70%. Florida's hit hardest with Fort Lauderdale losing 20%, Orlando 12%, as Canadians avoid us travel amid trade tensions. All right, Jacob, this one's all to yourself.
The thing about this is the fact that it all has to do with the tariffs and the situations. Now, every time you go online and you see a list of the tariffs, they show these big percentages and all that stuff. I mean, JB, you've probably seen that before too. You know what I'm saying? You've probably seen them. Let me give a little lesson to all this, okay? First off, those big percentages that you're seeing are a past surplus percentage. The regular percentages on the normal stuff that they bring into the country and from Canada, United States is about 7.5%. It's the past surplus stuff that's way up. And since the fact that they have a deal where they don't want the surplus in the first place, they really do screw us. Same time though, a lot of this is just hate for the person that's running the country right now. It's like, I don't think they're going to stop even after there would be a trade deal. In the first place, they're just waiting for someone new. But will it go past the 4 years depending on who's there? The thing is, in truth, today we had ourselves a market that was starting down about 350 points. Then they got one little deal and went up to 3,000. It's just everybody's ADD, ADHD. I call them emotional nitwits. Remember that term that I've always said about sports. These are emotional nitwits. Oh my God, we're going to have a hard time. We're going to die. Oh, hey, look, we had a home run. Same thing. That's what these people are in the first place. That's what the Canadians are and what the Americans are. It's like, we don't need to be fighting like this. So, and in truth, by itself, I'm wondering how right I am. And are they just doing this because they hate the guy? Because in truth, in about a week, maybe 2 weeks, the trade deal will be there. And then will people forget about it because they're ADD? That's where my thing is. Will they forget all about it and then there's no fights? Or will they just quietly put it back? That's where my issue is with all of this. It's the emotional nitwit standard. It's everything the media wants. The media wants the anxiety. And it's like all the sweat. That's what they want. And that's the issue. That's the issue with this. It's the fact, is it going to be done in 2 weeks? And then it's going to be quietly put back up? Or do they hate Trump that much that they're going to wait 4 years?
Hey, Joshua, I know a great place where you could get good hearing aids because I have them myself. So here's the situation, okay? I say that we have one segment every single week on the Sports Exchange, which is the pundit segment. And anything goes, okay? The pundit segment. So after the show, contact me in your Motor City Mad Mouth on my business phone, okay? And I'll tell you a good place to get hearing aids. Because this isn't a political show. This one happened to be a topic that I know that Jacob would definitely be interested in. We always stick to sports, Joshua. And I can't wait till the day that Al Michaels appears on this set. Do you believe in miracles? Because you know what that means? You'll be on camera with us so that we get to talk to you to your face instead of doing that typing. Although I only do the 3-finger typing, but you probably do more. So come on, we'd love to have you. No
JB and I need a debate.
But political nonsense.
JB and I need a debate for the thing.
Yeah, I can't wait to bring Joshua Dore on there. It'll be great to have him on so we can all talk to this. So we have hockey tomorrow. Maybe the guys' days mixed up. I don't know. George might add a hockey parting shot. There's parting shots we mentioned. We're not done yet. But guess what? I have a golf thing I'm going to mention a little bit later. No, I'm good at, I don't do shows. Okay, then do me a favor. Stay on point, Joshua Dore, because that thing is good. Okay. Anyways, with that said, he's the only one who's going to comment on this. So we're going to go back to sports, as my producer, Joshua Dore, highly suggests. And that says Tom Izzo has made it to the Elite Eight 37% of his 30 seasons, which was his 11th season. All right. You know what, George Eichhorn, I'll let you start off with Tom Izzo. Unquestionably a coach that a lot of people would certainly love to play for.
Yes. Well, here's the deal. I mean, yeah, he is one of the great coaches, but does he rank among the top 10? I don't think so. Now, the thing is, you got plenty of Big Ten titles. You got regular season Big Ten titles. You got conference titles, and you got all these appearances, like you said, Scott, in the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, Final Four, and some, several championship games. But he's only been able to win one title. Do I blame Tom Izzo for that? Heck no. I mean, Michigan State is starting under Heathcote. I mean, that program was turned upside down. They're one of the biggest points statewide in Michigan, the men's basketball program, number one. But Tom Izzo is more than that. Tom Izzo is a teacher. He's a father to many of these boys. He is a counselor. I mean, he does it all. He wears his emotions. You can see it. Bags around his eyes, lack of sleep, and he jokes about it. I mean, this guy, he embraces it. And this is what I love about Tom Izzo. He does embrace the kids, the athletes, the student athletes. Yeah, he would like to see them all stay for 3 or 4 years at least. 4 years is, of course, not going to happen much anymore. But some of the kids do stay. But unfortunately, now the landscape is shifting now, Scott, as we know, with NIL and this portal and everything. And it's just not what Tom wants. So you hear him once in a while making comments about it. But I'll tell you what, he did a hell of a job this year with that group of guys. Nobody expected him to get that far. So I'm still a big Izzo supporter. I think he goes way above wins and losses and championship banners, though.
Well, let's put it this way, and then I'll turn it back to JB, and then I'll have Jacob again. It's not easy to follow legend, but the guy followed Judd Heathcote. Michigan State's only had 2 coaches in the last half century. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You think about Judd Heathcote won a national championship. Tom Izzo pulled the trick. We all know Judd did it with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. So, and to be able to be consistent, think about this number though: 37% of his 30 seasons, which is 11 seasons, to get to the Elite Eight. That's a tough thing to do in this day and age. It really does. Okay, JB, what are your thoughts about Tom?
By far one of the best coaches of this generation. I mean, he's been consistent, has great longevity, wins, keeps getting teams to the Sweet 16. You know, there's never a doubt that he's going to have his team competitive. They're going to compete for a title. They're going to give everything they have. They may not always be the splashy team that everyone, you know, is picking at the beginning of the year. I don't think there was much talk about this year's team. And what did he do? He just got him right back to the Sweet 16 like it was nothing. You know, he's just a really good coach. He recruits great players. He wins games. He just overperforms. You know, imagine if he had the talent some other coaches had.
You know, Cyberowski, you make an interesting comment. I don't watch the news, but I'll tell you the one news show I do like to watch is 60 Minutes. And many years ago, 2020, I love 60 Minutes. I'm all about a junkie journalism who can take a good feature story and learn from it. All right, I'll turn it over to Mr. Media, Jacob Christner. After we get done with this segment, we're going to Candy Abilene for a station break.
Well, one of the things is people have to understand, fans have to understand this. There are a specific type of emotional nitwit fans, and then there are other type of nitwit fans, emotional nitwit fans. They're the ones that think you have to win every single title. And then there are, you know, everyone on the whole wide world, and if you didn't, you failed. Then there are the others that think everything is falling apart, blah, 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 blah. Tom Izzo, I mean, he kind of goes past eras. Remember, you talked about Judd Heathcote. Now, you talk about somebody that looks like he was killed in the back of a mob car, you know what I'm saying, a trunk. I mean, Judd Heathcote had that big time. I mean, that look, everything. Yeah. He was one hell of a coach. And Izzo had to replace, I mean, considering that, Izzo had to replace that. Izzo had to replace that, and he did well. See, if I was to be a coach, I always would want to be the one that had the 0-win team so I could build my own. But it takes some kind of guts to replace a legend. Then do your own thing. Think of the movie Hoosiers. Right. The legend, what Gene Hackman's character had to replace a legend, the coach that they wanted, and stuff like that, and all that kind of stuff, and everybody was used to. And it's like it takes something to do that, and Tom Izzo's done that. And to get to an Elite Eight on 37% of your career over and over and over. I mean, got to remember how many. There was a couple different times Bob Knight lost in the first round, including Cleveland State in '86, and that's a legendary coach. There's in the NCAA tournament, you're facing teams that just play out of their mind for one day. I mean, remember UMBC against Virginia. Oh, yeah. And then they hit every three-pointer known to man. In the second game, they hit like 3 of them. But that's what the whole thing is. You're facing that when you're in the NCAA tournament, facing every type of situation. You're facing somebody's going to go completely hot. You can do nothing about it. Or you become Duke and you're up 13 in the second half. Then you hit one field goal in 10 minutes. That happens. That happens. It happens with anybody. For the fact that Tom Izzo's able to avoid that over and over again just shows the discipline that they've had. And that's the point of that. And Heathcote the same. He made a lot of deep runs too. It's he did. If you if you're able to avoid those teams going over and over and over and over on you and just playing lights out on you over again, that's discipline on your team. And that's a great coach.
I should point out an update that we had to a story that we reported on last week about the Michigan couple that was being held in Mexico. They were released the next day, by the way. That had Donald Trump.
That was all us. No.
Yeah, well, we talked about it, and all of a sudden it was amazing. A day later that they were set free.
Well, I had an idea it would, but it's still. They better,
I'll just say
the
that
congressman from Michigan, he steered that ship and did a great job.
Well, probably, but what's that?
They were locked up a long enough time.
Yeah, they sure were, weren't they? Yeah. I think once they looked at Donald Trump's picture in the congressman from Michigan, it was time to let him go.
Yeah.
Those long time shares. All right, Penman, what are your thoughts about Tom Izzo?
Everybody compares championships. Michael Jordan had 6, Kobe had 5, and all these people comparing championships and banners and stuff like that. It's just what you do with this. College basketball is completely different from NBA, which we know. You shouldn't judge a coach by championships. It's by who you recruit, how you do. George had it on the point on where he said you got made to the Elite 8. It's what you do, and you're going to have scoring droughts, like Jacob said, but Tom Izzo is like one of the best. If Coach K was still there, he would be there, and he goes with Cal Perry. He's just along with those two, and Bob Knight would be there. He's like top 15, top 20 in my book. So,
well, Pensman, remember this too, and I'm just saying this.
Go ahead.
Krzyzewski got caught too. He
I know
got
he
caught
did.
too. It's like just the fact that Izzo doesn't get caught like that. That's
Right.
what I'm saying. It's like that guy's got 5 rings, and I think 5. He's got 5 rings, and he got caught. Knight's got 3. He got caught.
Right.
It can mean something to win those 5 and those 3, but it can also mean something that you're not getting caught.
Right. That's why I say you don't want to compare a coach by championships. You got to go by who he recruits, how far he goes. So.
Well, he's been consistent over the years, and that's why I mentioned the number in the first place. 37% to get the Elite 8 is something good. Last, I'll let Candy end it. When she does, she'll transition over to a station break.
Izzo has led the Spartans to 8 Final Fours in the NC2A tournament, which include national championship in 2000, runner-up in 2009. His teams have won 11 Big Ten regular season titles, 6 Big Ten tournament titles in his 30 years at Michigan State. Izzo has the most wins in school history and has appeared in 27 consecutive NC2A tournaments, the longest streak of tournament appearances ever by a coach at one school. He has also never had a losing season as a head coach. Pretty impressive. On March 8th, 2022, Izzo surpassed Bob Knight for the most wins by a men's basketball coach at a Big Ten school with 663. On January 30th, 2024, Izzo earned his 700th career win. On February 15th, 2025, Izzo again passed Knight, this time for the most Big Ten conference wins in history with 354. And let's not forget, Izzo has a coaching tree. He has 3 of his former assistants are currently head coaches at other schools. One of Izzo's former assistants was a head coach in the NBA. Several former Izzo assistants were college head coaches, Tom Crean being one of them. And current Izzo assistants who were previously college head coaches, he has 1. So he also has a coaching tree. So not only is he a good coach of players, he's also someone that develops other coaches as well in his 30 years. He's a great coach. And I'll be honest, he's in the Big Ten, and of course he's going against my team all the time. So does that make me a happy camper? Obviously you want to beat the best to go on and stuff like that, but He's had so much success. Kudos to him. And kudos to, again, longevity. We were talking about it. I mentioned it when we were talking about Geno. Kudos to him. So,
all right. Well, speaking of Geno, why don't you share that photo? I want to share to the audience, and then you go to your station break. Go ahead. After he won the championship, by the way. How do you like that?
Oh, nice. Can I get
You're
your
missing a
autograph,
smile,
Scott?
Scott.
What's that?
You're
I
missing
want
a
Scott's
smile.
autograph.
I didn't hear you, George.
No, go ahead, Jacob.
I said you're missing a smile. Come on, you're supposed to be smiling.
That's as good a smile as I'm capable of.
Yeah.
I have one. I have one of those types of looks here. I have another photo that we'll share next week when I got him outside the locker room. But I wanted everybody to see that. All right, we'll go to a station break. Go ahead, Candy. And then we have a couple more topics and parting shots to wrap up the show.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, and the foreword was also written by George Eichhorn. It talks about Scott's 40-plus years in the media business and how it has evolved. Get your copy today, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great other content. Go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you see the red subscribe button, hit it like a share us. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have show ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com.
Thank you, Candy. A couple more topics. We got parting shots. We had 4 coaches seeking to win their first title. Who are you rooting for? We all know who won it. Calvin Sampson was actually in his 32nd season. Bruce Pearl was in his 21st season. And of course, Calvin Sampson with Houston, Bruce Pearl at Auburn, Todd Golden for the Florida Gators in his 6th season, and John Shire, his 3rd season over at Duke, although he did win one as a player in 2010. We'll start it off with you, Joe. Who are you rooting for before we found out who the one was?
I was rooting for Duke. I mean, too many SEC teams, all 1 seeds. It was boring, horrible tournament. I was hoping Duke would win just to make it that much more worse.
Okay. What about you, Joe? George?
Well, I had picked, as you recall, Duke to win it all. But I kind of changed when I saw the stats and how and Sampson, how long he's been waiting to try to get to the finals and the Final Four and this and that. I was pulling for Houston. I mean, that he's talk about like Izzo, but been a really good coach. And I was hoping for Calvin to get it, and obviously it didn't happen. But on my pool, I had Duke winning it all. I was wrong there too.
So are you trying to tell me in English you were rooting for John Shire?
Yes, exactly.
Well,
Okay,
it depends, Scott. Your question was coach. George said the coach that he wanted to win was Sampson. The team he wanted to win was Duke.
Yes. Thank you for helping me clarify that. It was
well, good. Then
my answer was confusing.
Then somebody had to translate George Eichhorn's version of my question. Okay.
She did. Yeah, that's good.
I know. Well, that's okay. She saved you on this one from getting it really seriously, really loud. But you got one soft.
Welcome, George.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll have speech therapy. There may be a time when my vocal cords won't allow me to talk louder, but thankfully I have some successors in this thing if I have to keep quiet for a little while. What about you, Jacob? You know the question? Who are you rooting for?
I'll tell you this. Kelvin Sampson's defense is a world beaters. I love watching their defenses. His lack of experience in a finals showed, though, which Tom Izzo would not have done with that final play. The last plays that you couldn't get a shot off.
Right.
That was on his. That was the lack of experience. I just getting tight. But let me say this about Kelvin Sampson. We have a completely changed era. And this is a really good changed era. Don't get that wrong. We have a changed era. It's like you're giving more. Guess what? We're getting a situation where women might be the coaches one day. We're talking about. We were talking about Dawn Staley possibly being a men's coach. Any of those. We've talked about that in the past. Whether anybody likes it or not, we're going to see it. And guess what? There are more black coaches now too. But Kelvin Sampson came from an era. His first coaching gig was 1987. He came from an era that's basically, I call it Kelvin Sampson, Dusty Baker, Mike Tomlin. I call it, those are these guys that just predated, who cares? They're good. They're good. Who cares? We don't talk about the thing. We don't make any kind of news about it. They're just coaches. They came from those eras. And Kelvin Sampson, proud of him that he made a final. Proud of him that he made a final on that kind of thing right there. The end things showed how tight he felt. He was with that play, and I felt sorry for him at the end because he was that close. You know what I'm saying? He was that close to it. But I'm very happy for Florida.
Yeah, but are you telling me that you were pulling for Kelvin Sampson?
Yeah, and Kelvin and Golden both, because I like them both.
But I gave you one or the other, and you decided to take both.
Well, I like Kelvin though. I do, because I'm glad for him. But I have a friend of mine who went to University of Florida, so I was happy for him too.
So I got a couple Brett Favres in the room. Both you two are waffling. At least Joe admitted who he was, right, Joe? You already knew who his was.
Yep.
Penman, we'll see if you can interpret the question the right way. One.
Come on, Ben.
If you guys know me, I'm a huge Duke fan through thick and thin. John Shire's got to go through and teach the next recruiting class to learn to beat the full court press. That's the only reason Houston came back, is because Houston figured out how to beat Duke on a full court press. I was hoping for Duke to win it all because of Cooper Flagg, and he was the best player of the year, and John Shire got the best coach of the year. So I was hoping for a Duke win, but it happens. I'm happy with the Final Four appearance, though. So John got to experience the Final Four, but that's who I was going for.
And like I said before, he did win as a player, so it's not like he didn't taste the champagne, just wasn't able to coach it. Candy, what about you?
So, team that I wanted was Florida. They actually won it. Coach I wanted to win was actually Bruce Pearl. I've heard some really good things from some of his team, some of his players, and how he allows them, and this is college, but he allows them to be Christians, be Jewish, and freely talk about that. And I think that's just a refreshing side of him. So I kind of wanted him, but I'm glad that Florida did, because let's face it, I've got the blue on for Florida. I live in Florida, so I know a lot of Gator fans. So, and let's put it to you this way. They only needed 68 seconds to lead the game, but that was all they needed to win the game.
That's true. Hi, Brian Pettit. Glad you could join us. Yeah, with all due respect, Todd Golden beat Bruce Pearl in the regular season, and he got him again later. But I know that those two are very close, but I was going for Golden all the way. I had no choice. I started with Florida to win it all. I had to stick with my pick, and it worked out. I don't fill up brackets because I don't want to sit here and think I can be like 9 zillion people that'll get them all messed up. I can make predictions on there, and I'm totally fine with it. Watch the games as well. Last thing we're going to talk about as far as coaches, because there's some Hall of Famers in this tournament. When you talk about the top winningest coaches in this tournament, Bill Self actually was third with 831 wins. John Calipari was second with 875. Then, of course, last but not least, J.B. Ellis' favorite, Rick Pitino, was number one at 884. So what are your thoughts about these coaches? Even though they didn't get to the Final Four, Joe, there was no shortage of star-studded Hall of Fame coaches.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Rick Pitino, I mean, we all hoped that they got there, St. John's fans. It wasn't their year. We tried to look at it positively. There was a chance that things broke in the right way. But next year, he's already got 2 recruits that he signed, Bryce Hopkins out of Providence. It's going to be only going to get better. Bill Self, another great coach. These guys are at the top of the game, but the NIL changes everything. It's not just good enough to be a Hall of Fame coach or be a really good coach. Look at the coach from Virginia who left at right at the beginning of the season last year because he couldn't handle how the NIL was being distributed, how it was working with the University of Virginia.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, you have to adapt to the game, and coaches like Patino and Self are able to do that.
The one thing I want to get back to with Todd Golden is I'm happy for former FAU guard Elijah Martin, who ended up coming close in the Final Four, not to get to the finals and win it all, but he ends up getting his championship with the Gators right up the road. So I'm happy for Elijah. All right, George, what about you?
Well,
You look at these three guys.
that's what I like about men's basketball. Well, and the women's game too. We talked about earlier with Geno and with Pat Summitt. You've got these legendary coaches, and they seem to just thrive on the postseason. And like you just said, Joe, not everybody made it, and Scott, not everybody, went as far as they would have wanted to go. But I mean, you hear these names and these Hall of Famers, and we look back in history, and we talked earlier about John Wooden and Bob Knight, and oh my gosh, Krzyzewski and Jim Boeheim, and you go down the list. Calipari and they're just really good coaches. And I guess maybe some people don't like that because give a young guy a chance, but heck, and Izzo is another one. You want to stay with somebody if that's what they love and they're being successful and they're making them good student athletes, making them a better person when they get out of that school. Some early and some come back and get their education. I understand that, but no, I think this is a very good sign. The longevity of some of these guys and these great programs that they've done. I mean, Mike K, 1,200 wins. Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Right.
Boeheim had over 1,000 wins in their careers. And yeah, they're not all going to win championships, but I like to see those big names in there. But I also like to see the new guys too. But the big names is what draws the attention. I really think.
Well, keep in mind, all three of these have won a championship anyways.
Yeah. Yep.
And two of them won one over at Kentucky. I'm not going to count Patino's other one because that was stripped because of what happened with the Wolverines. And Self has won his fair share of them as well. So I'm happy for Bill Self. They've all won. It just so happens they have a brand new one this year. What about you, Jacob?
When you brought up Bill Self is becoming Dabo Swinney. As far as it looks like he struggles in this era and he needs to kind of adapt.
Right.
And it sounds like I heard something about Dabo. It sounds like he's going to start to adapt, but do it in his own way. Right. Now it's Bill Self's turn. And what you brought up, George, the idea, that they are talking about that these coaches, that they all let the young guy go. It's the biggest thing is this is what we're missing in the world of this. You remember, it's a young man's world. I always say young man, young woman's. It's their world, and they try to run over old people all the time, old men and old women. And the biggest thing, you think about it with the technology goes every 6 months now. Everything just runs through. But the biggest issue we have with all that is we have no mentors.
Right.
And it's like your mentor left is you want a Tom Izzo, you want a Bill Self. I mean, these guys have won tons of things. You want Rick Pitino. Thank you, JB. I mean, and by the way, JB, I think St. John's will win when they turn back to the Redmond and bring back Carnesecca, from the dead. but no, I mean, it's one of those things. You have those when we have this world where we have a bunch of these things. We have let the young guy have their chance. You're too old, and it might be a 55-year-old even. Oh my God, have this. They want 16-year-olds to vote. I mean, here or there, they want all these things. What we have in the midst of this, and this is a sports thing I'm saying if Josh is watching, I'm not trying to I'm just using that as an example. When we do this, we lose the idea of mentors. And then what happens, John Shire is ready to be a coach, even if he made mistakes in that moment. He'll get better from those mistakes. But he was behind Krzyzewski, a legend. It's like, you want to keep these legends around, no matter how many people. Okay, I'm just going to say this, Pensman. No matter how many people are in Pittsburgh want Tomlin gone, I'm going to bring this to you here. He's 54 years old. He's going to be gone sooner or later. The people are going to want the younger one. no matter what the thing is, he's won 193 games. Or 187 or something like that.
Right.
You can learn from that, and you need someone to mentor until their time is done. We can't have this thought process, this mindset. Oh, they're getting too old. Let it be. Let's get the younger one going. Because then we lose mentors, and then the young coaches get worse.
All right, Pensman.
Well, Calipari is a father figure. Tom Izzo is a father figure. You could go with Jacob's thing. They're pushing the old guys out and try to get the new guys in. That's why I was going like that. So they're trying to push them out. That way they just. I respect Calipari a lot. Bill Self, I don't follow him too much because he's in the wrong conference, but Calipari went to Kentucky to Arkansas, and what he did to Arkansas was phenomenal. So I called it. Candy saw how hyped I was that one Thursday night when they won. I just respect Calipari a lot. So and with Brian's point of view, I can see Arkansas, but everybody else, I don't know. He says they can go in the next year's in the Final Four. I don't know. Calipari probably, but the other three, we'll see.
What about you, Candy?
I think the days of having the longevity, while we should embrace them right now because it is something to be said. I can't imagine a coach coaching 40 years. I don't think you're going to see that going forward. Once some of these that have been in the business this long, I think the stress, I think the NIL, and not so much the NIL, the transfer portal will really shift. And I don't know that you'll see the longevity going forward with these coaches. And as far as mentors go, I hope I'm not stealing a topic for another time. But Scott, one of the things that resonated with me is when we were listening to the UCLA coach, Corey Close,
Right.
She talked about how she went to Geno and said, hey, can I watch you guys during practice? Can I see how you do things? And how Geno opened and said, yeah, come on in, see how we do things. And so he mentored her without really mentoring her.
Well, we actually might, now that you're bringing that up, we'll stay on point. We may bring it up at some point, but we're not going to over talk about it now. It's a good idea. You got the wheels turning. It's in my head. So staying on point with the other three, though, we're talking about these three icons or legends.
Right. And what I'm saying is I don't know that you'll see that going forward because I don't think you'll see the longevity of coaches going forward. It's great to see now, and I love it, but I don't know that we'll see it in the future.
All right. All I'll say about the three coaches, Bill Self, it may take a little while for him to acclimate. Rick Pitino, if he gets there, it'll be a street. He has enough street sense to get there with his savvy to recruit. John Calipari has all the money he needs over at Arkansas with his boosters and all the people backing him to get the best players that they can. That's why he took the job in the first place. So there you have it. I like Calipari's chance. If I had to rate who will end up going back, I would put Calipari, Pitino, and Self of that three. But it's good to be able to mention these three coaches because you're talking about the NCAA, as Joe says, that you have all these great coaches and the longevity you had through the years. I won't get into all the names, but these three have definitely been a part of championships. And now Todd Golden gets his first. All right, now is our opportunity to do parting shots. With that, lead off, Jacob.
I'm going to do a Chicago Bears thing that has nothing to do with Caleb Williams tonight. I want to do this kind of thing. This is going.
Whoa.
I know, no kidding. No kidding. Okay, yeah, I hate the guy. So there. I don't have to do it, though.
There we go.
I keep seeing this, and we see this on my timeline all the time. The Chicago Bears always bring this thing up during, as now it's the 1985 Super Bowl. What is our regret? What is our regret? Our regret was that we didn't get Walter Payton the ball. All right, of course. I got two things to say about it, though. Number one, they did, and he was absolutely smothered up. I saw the first half of the game live, so I had to go to bed. I was 7 years old. so there, but yes, I absorbed it. But you're still a kid. You're still a kid, and you have school tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it's like I've still never seen a full Super Bowl win. That said, I've seen the highlight. I've seen the YouTube game. I've seen all that stuff. That's the first thing. They had him swallowed up. That's the first thing. Second thing, outside of that one play that went to Perry, they had a screen pass from I believe either Fuller or Tomczak that was so bad it made the dancer himself Walter Payton trip. If that was from McMahon, it would have been a touchdown because he had all the open field. But those are things that are not talked about. They just talk about the 1 yard play because it's the easiest. Okay, now you're talking to somebody who's now I'm going to bring this part up. You're talking to somebody who's 47 years old in August. See the gray? You see it all the time. I earned this. And I'm going to say this part here. Everybody that's doing this debate isn't old enough to remember. Everybody outside maybe 60 and 70-year-olds. They're just doing it based off of what the media would say. And oh, yeah, they hate Ditka for basic reasons, which didn't happen until years later. You don't understand how good the Chicago Bears were. From 1984 to 1987, middle of 1987, I saw a 2-game losing streak after they started 3-0, and I didn't see another one until late 1987. Think about that. I didn't see 3 losses in a row till 1989 as they watching it every week. That's how dominant they were. That's over before their bad losing streak in 89. They had 63 wins. Besides the thing, they also had 3 NFC title games. I want to bring this part up. You don't realize how dominant that team was. It was a thought process that they would have made 5 Super Bowls, 6 Super Bowls. They would have just been Belichick. They were that good. Now, there are things that, now Ditka was not that kind of coach. Don't get that wrong. He was a good coach, but that's neither here nor there. The point I'm saying with this is quit that debate. Quit it, because you're all young and you don't understand. You don't understand how good the Bears were. Of course, Ditka was thinking, oh, crap, I forgot about him. Oh, we'll be back next year. And George, you remember that. How good were those Bears?
Yeah.
15-1. 15-1 the Super Bowl year, 14-2 the next. They were that dominant. So there's that thought process. Oh, we'll just bring Peyton back and we'll give him 3 touchdowns next year.
Yep.
So that's the thing that people don't understand with this. Quit debating that. It's like this wasn't supposed to be a one and done for Chicago. There, no question, Ditka thought, oh, we got other times with Walter. Sorry that happened. It's like it's one thing if it was one of those teams. We'll just say Houston for the NCAA. That was probably their one shot. It wasn't supposed to be the Bears' one shot, and they didn't see it coming. None of the fans saw it coming. So quit debating this because you weren't there.
Very good. Pendleton, what's your parting shot?
On Sunday, around 3:30, 4 o'clock. If you guys missed it, you guys were busy. Scott, I know you probably didn't know, but he probably know now, but you probably didn't know then. But Alexander Ovechkin became the all-time score leader at 895, past Wayne Gretzky. They had a ceremony. It was good ceremony. And it was against the Islanders, just like Wayne Gretzky. He had 894 to get the all-time leader, and he played the Islanders. So I don't know what it is with the Islanders, but just wanted to inform everybody that Alexander Ovechkin did get the all-time score leader on Sunday afternoon. So that's my party shot.
Could have had it the day before with an empty net, but he didn't want to do it that way. He got it the regular way. More power to him.
Yeah, that's
all right. All right, George.
You're muted, George.
You're muted.
Yeah, George, I didn't take time.
Thank you. Very sad news, of course, in the world of baseball and, of course, the whole country, Dominican Republic, and the terrible fire that took the lives of over 120 people so far, and including a former Detroit Tiger, and Nelson Cruz's sister, and it's just terrible, terrible news to hear. They were enjoying a concert, and the agony and the destruction of having a roof collapse. Now, this wasn't during a hurricane. It wasn't during a typhoon or a windstorm. So obviously something structural was wrong with that concert hall. But those folks, especially those athletes that were on hand, former players that were there, people lovers of music, my heart goes out to all of them and their families. One of the worst tragedies in the Dominican Republic. And we all know that the Dominican Republic has been a pipeline for Major League Baseball and for many, many years. And so I just want to close on that note. But again, prayers to all the people, those are still searching for their loved ones, and those that have obviously heard the sad news about their loved ones dying. So sorry to be on a downer, but we are thinking about them, and that's my parting shot.
Okay, JB, what's yours?
Let's talk about tariffs. So, rumored today that the tariffs have been rescinded to everywhere but China. Joshua Dorr, that's for you. I don't really have a parting shot today. The Cubs played awful. I'm tired. It was a long day. It was cold out there at Wrigley. But the tariffs are off the table except for China. We doubled them or tripled them. I don't know. Joshua Dorr, turn on CNBC. You'll get all the details.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it, my friend. I
Joe,
really
you look like
do.
you shrunk.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this guy tends to get a little bit out of control. Joe, I really appreciate that parting shot. I think that was awesome, baby. Joshua Door's in another stratosphere of his own. But thankfully,
well done, JB. Well done.
But you know what I did? I got smart last week. You know what I did? I took them out of my personal number and left their group and let them on my business one so I could just take their stuff whenever I wanted instead of having to get all of their group messages at the inopportunity times of the day. It can be loyal times, but the one thing about this guy is he needs to get a life, man. Okay? He only knows one sport, but doesn't have the guts to get behind the camera and talk to us. It's easy to sit behind a computer and type, but get your face in front of us, Joshua, which we know we'll never do. And we'll leave it at that. But Joe, thank you very much for bringing it. I appreciate it, my brother. You're tired. I'm tired. I only get about 2 or 3 hours of sleep anyway. Candy, go ahead. And I have a good one here.
So kudos to the MLB teams that the Milwaukee Brewers have been visiting, because every single different away game venue that they've gone to, the teams have paid tribute to Bob Uecker. But even the Brewers at home have Uecker on the written in the landscaping. One of the smartest things the Brewers did back in the day was build Miller Park. The smartest thing they did was put a retractable roof over that. Because if you didn't know this, back in April 9th, which is today's date, but back in 1973, Milwaukee picks up almost a foot of snowfall in a late season snowstorm. The Milwaukee Brewers home opener was delayed due to a snowed-in county stadium. And for JB, you were at the Cubs game today, and you said it was cold. Hello, Miller Park. Glad to have you. That it's not as cold as these games that are being played up in the cold part of the country when it is April in the early part of the season. When, George, you have said often that the early part of the season, the team should be playing in the South because of the weather conditions. But kudos to the Milwaukee, because they have a dome, so it's not as cold, and the elements don't affect them as much. And the fact that then they can have all kinds of other venues at the stadium. They can have concerts and stuff like that. And the fact that they're going to air conditioning and heat it so that they can be used year-round, kudos to them.
I once addressed that on a previous edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Had Pablo Lopez in there. Our parting shot, I don't think it's really so much a shot. I think it's worth putting out there. Jim Nance, who I, by the way, had a chance to meet out in Winston-Salem a few years ago, one of the nicest people I've ever met. I once asked him if he ever thought about going out there and doing baseball. No, I'd rather do golf instead. Don't blame you. Baseball wasn't his thing, but he has a nice family, lives out in the greater Tennessee area. But he says he will retire from calling the Masters in 2036. 2036, people. Hold on, George. It will be his 51st time calling the tournament and the 100th anniversary of the tournament. He was born on May 17th, 1959. He's currently 66 years old. Jim, to me, you're an icon in broadcasting. There's no question about it. But I don't know where you guys are going to be in 2036. But I like my chance of getting there. And the reason why, and I say this because I speak from my mind and my heart, I have Alzheimer's disease. I see the progression hitting me. It gets tougher every week. The medications are going up. I do deal with short-term memory issues. I had to deal with them a little bit out at the women's Final Four, but made it through it. For me, every day is a challenge. When we were driving my Honda Odyssey today, I only had after we were done doing our errands, I only had like 816 miles on it. But here's the thing. When I leased it last August, I thought I would be able to get to 50,000 miles easy. And I haven't even hit the 1,000-mile mark. And the odds of me hitting it by the end of April are very slim. So, Jim, while I can appreciate you thinking about 2036, and I hope you get to that goal, I know you have a wonderful family, and I'm very appreciative of the time that we have. I struggle every day to get through this disease, and the activity I do when it covers sporting events, whether it's do these shows and everything that we do, I'm just thankful I made it to 62 so I could at least see a little Social Security, because I don't know what lies ahead. This is a tough disease. It really is. It's a result of severe head injuries that I've experienced. But I'm glad you can look ahead. I know Candy is doing her best to take care of me and keep me on my feet, and does a marvelous job doing it. Without her, I wouldn't be here anyways. So, but Jim, more power to you. I'm just hoping to see my next major event. And I can tell you one thing, it was great that Candy and I had an opportunity to cover the NCAA Women's Final Four in Tampa. And a special shout out to Brian Segrist, the head of communications for the University of South Florida, for enabling us to get credentials for the event. And I caught up with Jackie Eisenhower, a woman that I covered in high school when she was in high school, and Leo Haggerty, my colleague on Sports Wrap on Saturday. More power to you, Jim. I'm just glad that I can just take it one day at a time, and hope a year from now I could be doing the same show with this very great group I have in front of me right now. God bless everybody on this crew tonight and everybody that I work with throughout the week doing these shows. But Jim, at least you got a chance to see Houston play in the finals. You weren't broadcasting it, and you got to wear your Houston Cougars colors. Not so bad. That does conclude this edition of the Sports Exchange, but we have some Smiths to take care of. Depends on everybody know how they get a hold of you.
You can find me on YouTube, on Pensman Sports, X on Pensman Sports, and now introducing for the first time ever, you can find me on Twitch now on Pensman Sports 07 on Twitch.
Good for you. Jacob.
Well, my TikTok is now the official Sideline Sports TikTok. Went through all that kind of stuff, so we'll be putting some content on that besides mine, hopefully. I'm on here, obviously. I do guest spot. I do chat spots, guest spots with the 3-point conversion. Hopefully, I'll see them one day. And then I'm confidential when we have our chances. So I'm building my way up slowly.
Doing a great job, Jacob. We're glad you're on the Wednesday night version of the Sports Exchange. All right, George.
Yeah, you can follow me at the South Florida Tribune under the contributors section, and I cover sports in Detroit and in Michigan. And at the end of my story, my column, if you will, there's a link to Amazon where you can get a copy of my book. It's still available, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, starring great broadcasters in Detroit like Ty Tyson, Ernie Harwell, Bud Lynch, Ray Lane. Hey, the list goes on. And even Scott is in there, and me too. But Scott is with two great guys, Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Connors. But the book's available. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on LinkedIn. My Yahoo is gicorn@yahoo.com. And happy to be part of 108 Stitches and this wonderful program and other things that Scott and Candy put together on the network.
All right, JB, take it away, my friend, brother.
JB underscore the program on X, sidelinesportsnet.com, the website Candy Designs. I write. Scott's got some stuff on there. George has some stuff on there. Jacob, I even think you may have something on there.
A few.
Pensman, I don't know about
you.
I don't know what you're waiting for, Pensman.
I
But
don't know
everyone
if-
else is contributing.
I thought
you
Can- I
got
thought
your Hawaiian
Candy
shirt on.
Yeah.
I think he's
You got
waiting
the
for
Hawaiian
It's
shirt
not
on
Hawaiian.
vacation.
We're trying to get him right for us. Don't worry. If he gets anything to us, we'll make sure we put it on yours.
That's what I thought you guys did.
I don't know. I don't handle that department.
Yeah, I thought you guys did that. I thought you passed that on to him.
I don't know. Don't worry, Penzel. We got your
We're
back.
still trying.
Well,
They're
I
still
know.
trying.
I know.
Well, I got news for you. Once upon a time, Candy had to deal with a guy by the name of Robert Gottesman. If you could deal with his editing, then my gosh, anything that they throw at us is easier. It used to take her about an hour to edit his stuff and practically rewrite it. I know that even anybody in their words, they could be worse than this character. Candy had a tough job. She could post 20 articles in one shot by the time she got done with his guy's stuff. But everybody's on here is pretty good. JB Ellis has actually come a long way. I tell you, I've seen some of his stuff early, and when he's written lately, he's done a really marvelous job. Proud of him. I'm still waiting for a story from Japan, though, Mr. Ellis. You owe us that.
I do. I got to get on it.
That's okay. No problem.
Let's go.
All right. So, Candy, take it home.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, and the foreword is written by George Icorn. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content. Most everybody on this panel, I think, has written at one point or another is on the website. So go check all of us out. A couple of pictures there too, I think. I think so. Anyways, there's also a link to our merchandise store if you want to get some cool merchandise. You can, if you want to contribute to southfloridatribune.com, email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to sponsor a show, call Scott 954-304-4941. You will find us, if you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange, you just never know what topic Scott's going to come up with. Thursday nights, he talks hockey. And then at 9 o'clock on Fire Up, you never know what topics I'm going to come up with. That's the one that I lead. But you can also find me Tuesday nights on the Chicks podcast on Chicks and Salsa or 3 Chicks and a Pod. I think that's it, Scott. I think.
And JB Ellis is responsible for getting Candy with the girls, and they've done a really good job. Without JB Ellis, Candy wouldn't have her own group, so we appreciate him doing that. And we also appreciate the work he does to help us out on Twitter as well. JB, thank you very much for helping us there. But next week, just to preview next Wednesday night, we're going to have another clip that I have with Geno Auriemma that talks about what it has taken, and I was able to get a nice question in there. Tonight we went with Auriemma versus Wooden. Next week, that'll be more of an informative type of clip. We hope you can join us for that edition. So I want to thank everybody's participation in the chat room. Glad to have you back, JB Ellis, as always, and looking forward to seeing you next weekend as often as you can come on there. So on behalf of Candy Epling, Penson Sports, Jacob Christner, George Icorn, and JB Ellis, my name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. We'll see you next Wednesday night. Have yourself a great rest of the week. God bless everybody, and thanks for joining us. Bye now.